Shut up and sit down.
What's up, guys? This is Carlos Redlick. I got David Allen here. Welcome to Takeover Tuesday. This is where we're going to be talking about how to go from being employed to being self-employed. Hey, David, man, why don't you give us kind of an inside look of what you used to do? What steps did you take to really take off and become self-employed and become the entrepreneur you are today, man? You're always on the road doing cool shit.
Yeah, man. Good to hear from you again, Carlos. Episode 4, exciting stuff today. We're going to talk a little bit about both of our stories for becoming self-employed. I had a variety of jobs that I quit to start doing what I'm doing now. And a lot of people have trouble with that step, I think. It's like, when do you go? How do you transition into being self-employed? You see those questions a lot on the internet. People always ask me, how did you start doing this or whatever? For the people who have not tuned in earlier, perhaps, shame on you, number one. Number two, I do street performing. That's my primary source of income. And then that's what got me into, I use that to free my time up to get into copywriting. And so that was sort of like the master plan I had, if you will. So what I did was I sort of put a timeline on, exactly when I was going to quit certain jobs. So I had 2 jobs previously to street performing. One for a sign company and one as a nightclub bouncer at the time, actually.
Oh, shit. So don't mess with you.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I think, nor you, Carlos, because you've been doing martial arts for years. But one of the things that I had to decide was sort of, I'm going to finish at this. I had to give myself sort of a definitive, timeline as to, like, if I'm going to do this, I have to do it. And I sort of set a timeline in advance and sort of said, okay, that's a good time to get out of those things. Now, I will say I had a mentor for street performing. I had several mentors, actually, as it's gone on. But one of the first guys, I asked him the question. So he said, okay, I think you can do this. I said, okay, so what do I have to do to be able to do this? What's the next step I have to take? And he said, in his opinion, you had to jump into the deep end, basically. And he said, I believe the phrase he used was burn the boats.
Yeah.
That's
so you. Cool. I like that.
Yeah. So you had to, I think there is some sort of like historical ambiguity as to exactly how things went, but in terms of like burning the boats, but that sort of was like the way I heard it was a part of the story of the taking of the siege of Troy. The boats. Right. They came in and they scuttled or burned their boats so that they had no choice but to either take over the Troy or die trying, basically.
That's badass, huh?
Yeah,
I love it.
It is. It's great. And I think that's, to sort of tie in another cultural phenomenon to the same idea, I think that was the name of 50 Cent's first album, Get Rich or Die Trying or something, right?
Yeah. I don't know the first album. Yeah, no, it's definitely good. I like it.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
That's primarily what I did. I decided, okay, if I'm going to do this, I had already quit the nightclub job earlier, because I sort of gave myself a timeline for doing something. I didn't realize what the something was, but I sort of said, I got to get out of this in order to do something else. And so I had already gotten rid of that job, and I was all sort of just waiting my time to get out of the other job. And I sort of, when I was told about that by my mentor, I just went back and sort of systematically closed down the rest of my life, all sorts of decisions on how to hit the road. So it took about 2 months to get all that stuff in order before I could hit the road full time, which is what I'm doing now.
That's pretty sweet. And when have you done? How long have you been doing that now?
This is actually, it's funny you mentioned because it'll be 2 years, like within the next week, I think.
Sweet. Look at that. It's like an anniversary, dude.
Yeah, it is. If I had champagne here, I'd be clinking it.
Yeah, give yourself a gift. Hey, so were you even thinking about this? Maybe, I don't know, but did you do anything to differentiate yourself when you first started going into business for yourself? I mean, anything you did differently, or were you just not thinking about it? You just kind of went in, or what was it?
Yeah, I think part of it, well, we talked about this in a previous episode too, is like I really believe in mentorship and finding people that you get who are already doing it and then emulating or following their sort of footsteps to cut that learning curve down as much as possible. Now, I was lucky in the street performing side. I've been lucky in both aspects, actually. I was very lucky in the street performing aspect because I ended up going to a city where I was surrounded by other street performers, and they all gave me advice, and I put my ego aside and took that advice on board because I knew it was just a process. I knew, I had to just get to that point quickly where I could make a living for myself by doing it, and so I had to just, you got to be a student basically. So, and they didn't know me from Adam when I sort of showed up in town, and they knew my mentor, but they had never met me. And, I was there for quite a while and I got to know everybody, and they sort of welcomed me into their clique. And they gave me lots of great advice because they'd all been doing it for years already. And the same with the copywriting thing. I mean, I have a copywriting mentor, and he actually gave me some interesting advice. One of the things I remember him saying was, don't read any more material about copywriting for the next year.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, which I was accustomed to with the street performing thing. So it was very similar advice, and I thought to myself, yeah, that's how, because you don't. There's this analyzing phase where you analyze everything to death, and it holds you back from actually doing anything. I think the course of action is far better than the studying for what you're going to do.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I think just diving headfirst into things is really a great way to get started, and then you kind of just learn on the way. So, I mean, I forgot exactly where I was going with that, but you had said something that really triggered it, and it's something that, when people are over analyzing, right?
Right.
So you can just become an expert on virtually anything. I would say in like a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe even sooner now.
Right.
But um all you got to do is dive right into it. And with copywriting, I learned a lot of this stuff because, yeah, I invested in a lot of programs and stuff like that. But the stuff I really learned and gained confidence with is when I started putting out promotions for myself. I mean, I just started selling websites and outsourcing the websites to a friend of mine who would do it for like beer and pizza or whatever.
Right.
And, I just started outsourcing it like that. And I think that's one way that I just started learning direct mail, was kind of losing my ass on it and figuring it out, and then investing in products. Because once you just get started, if you're starting and putting money into it and really testing it, I think you'll appreciate the knowledge you're getting. If not, you're like almost in danger of becoming like what I like to call their like seminar junkies,
Yeah.
just go to seminar after seminar after seminar, but you don't actually do shit with what you just learned, and it's just silly. So if you've actually got skin in the game and you're losing money in direct mail or
Yeah.
losing money pay per click or Facebook ad or whatever it is, then you're going to invest in something and you're going to be damn sure, you want to be damn sure if it's going to work or not. So you're going to actually pay attention to it, apply it. And I think that's what it comes down to. Too many people are so scared of failing that they just want the best first shot out the gate, and they're just fucking investing in $1 million programs and masterminds, but they never actually do anything. I mean, if you're going to join a mastermind, or if you're going to invest in a product, like actually do it. Take action on one thing. And then if that shit doesn't work, then go buy another product. You know what I mean? Like, but actually get some skin in the game.
Yeah,
You'll
I
learn a
agree.
lot.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, that was certainly the case with street performing because there's really no other way to do it. You have to physically be out there doing it, and I think that helped me with the copywriting thing too. And the first things I did for copywriting too were some stuff for myself and for a few friends, and so that I will say this though, in regards to having skin in the game and stuff. One of the things, if I look back now, one of the things I did learn as I went along was that you couldn't really even understand some of those courses and stuff until you were actually doing it. So it was one of those things where you could study, you could go through as many copywriting courses, marketing courses, or whatever, or read about street performing if that's the case. But until you were actually doing it, you couldn't really understand exactly the advice they were giving you, because you had to say, okay, yeah, I screwed that up. Here's why. This is probably the reason why, And then yeah, because when you get into it, then you're in it, you're in the thick of things, and you're like fighting for your life, and so then you're more apt to read up on this stuff too. I think when you're not doing it, you're kind of intellectually lazy. You're kind of going through it slowly, and there's no the clock's not ticking, and I think that's what my mentor said about jumping in head first and burning the boats too, is like, now you have to support yourself, so the clock is ticking, so you got to make some money, you got to figure this out.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many ways. I mean, people get caught up in the tactics of shit. There's just good old school, like going door to door and knocking on people and saying, hey, fucking, I do this. Do you want it?
Right.
A lot of people just get so caught up in like, oh, well, I don't know. I want to start my business, but I don't understand copy yet. Or I don't understand how to fucking write a good Facebook ad. I start to get a course on that. Like, you just need to like man up or woman up and just go fucking door to door or call somebody and figure it out. And then when like you don't need to just keep studying. In fact, if the more real you get, I find, like, if the more real in person you can get with a potential client or a customer or whoever, the better you're going to be able to understand their behaviors, their emotions, what they're really thinking. So the next time you actually have to sit down and put together a real marketing piece, later on in your life, when you have the knowledge on how to do that, you'll actually have the experience to back up your shit. You'll actually be able to imagine what they're gonna think. What's their face gonna do when they read this letter? You know what I mean? You can actually talk to the people. So just getting some skin in the game and just not being scared of, fuck the tactics. Just go out and do something, even if it's going to the beach or wherever you are and talking to somebody. That goes a long way.
Oh, absolutely. I think as humans, we have the vast potential for rationalization. And we can sort of rationalize that, oh, I'm going to do that tomorrow because today I need to learn one more thing.
Pause for cause. That was a great visualization. That was big, man. That's crazy.
Well, my friend Bobby has this great saying that he dropped on me several times, and he says, the house of failure is built on excuses. I think that's true. I mean, I think the number one thing holding anyone back from anything is just point blank fear. I mean, just fear, whether it's, starting your own business, or talking to that girl across the bar, or asking for a discount for no reason, or, haggling with people over, merchandise, or whatever it is. It's just like, how's this person going to see me? How they're going to perceive me as a person? You know what I mean? It's just this bullshit that we get all caught up in. And really, those people are often they don't even care about that. So it's just a matter of putting yourself out there.
It's a funny that you brought that up, because I have a good friend of mine. He has he's big on YouTube in the pickup industry. His name's Sasha Daygame. And he stayed at my house. Yeah, he's funny as fuck. We connected, we were talking, doing all this shit. This guy has a course, and it basically teaches you how to get out of your comfort zone so you can talk to women. And one of the and it's a free course he has online.
Right.
I don't know if he still does it, but he would make his students go into random places. Like, let's just say you just walk into a jewelry store and you ask for the manager and you say, hey, so how much? And they're like, how much for what? And you'd be like, how much for the entire establishment? I'd like to take ownership. They're like, what the fuck? They're like, no. I'd like to buy this place, and I'd like to buy it cash, and I'd like to buy it today. Are you the owner, or are you just the manager? And you really get in there. And if you can do shit like that, you're almost like a con man. I love this because it's fucking hilarious. Like, it's just human behavior, how people will respond to stuff. But I remember seeing that course, and I was like, man, that's such a good course that would work for salespeople, guys who want to pick up girls, magicians, anybody, I think would really get, if you're in the business of selling shit, then I think doing stuff like that, it's a great way to get yourself out of your comfort zone, start your day, and fucking and just really understand humans. you really get good. Those prank people, I think, are crazy, and some of them are really stupid, I think. But they understand. They probably have a really good understanding of human behavior just because of the reactions they'll get. They know, like, I'll probably not get knocked out until I say some crazy, crazy shit.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you look at. I mean, one of my favorites, and I haven't watched in a while, but I saw it a few years ago. Was Vitali HDTV.
Oh, he's funny.
Yeah, with the guy with the "Do you even lift, bro?" You know.
Yeah, yeah.
You know that guy, and he did one episode I saw where he would inject himself into random people's conversations. So he would just sit down at the table at the cafe with two people having a conversation, and the people are talking about, I remember one, it was something like they were saying, "Oh, yeah, last night Robin told me this or whatever," and he just sat down and said, "Oh yeah, tell him again about what Robin said."
Yeah.
And the people were like, "Who are you?" Kind of, but you had to embrace that social pressure. That was the whole idea, It was like you gotta be, if you can be cool with that, you can do damn near anything, really.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. That's funny. That's good stuff. We're gonna have a bunch of people now going pulling pranks or some shit. And but you could do this even whenever I used to get nervous before anything, really, for some kind of event or maybe a podcast in the past. What I would do is make a fuckload of cold calls because
Right.
I know that after about 20 cold calls, 10 cold calls, really, maybe, I'm kind of in the zone and my mind is working really quickly and I'm fucking like I'm on as point as I'm going to be after about 20, 30 calls, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So if you're in business and you've never picked up the phone and called your customers and you're like, hey, well, I don't cold call, we do all our shit through the internet or whatever. Well, if you've got any customers and maybe you can get a hold of their number, that would be even better. It's really cool to just give them a call and be like, hey, you know what? I'm the owner of the company, and I just wanted to call you because you bought one of our products, and I want to thank you, and I just kind of want to see what you thought of it. Did you like it? What's up?
Yeah, no, that is so massive, and people, I'm sure there's some business people out there, and if they stumble across this podcast, they'll wholeheartedly agree with that. And I have one, nobody does that, you know. I don't know how many businesses I've bought stuff for over the last couple years, let's say. I remember I got one email, a single email from a magic distributor who sells magic product, DVDs, books, and whatever. When I bought one of their products, which was on sale, they had some sort of fire sale or something. The guy who owns a company, or maybe his representative, who knows, sent me an email personalizing it and said, "Hey, you bought this product. This happens to be my favorite trick out of this product. I think you'll particularly like this trick. And here's something that I do a little differently than what's written in the actual instructions." And you know what? Well, I'm talking about it now, so that just goes to show you the impact a single, maybe a couple hundred words can have on somebody after you buy their product. But of all these other companies, I regularly buy stuff from, phone companies, internet companies, whatever you buying stuff from. Nobody ever calls you or interacts with you. And I think that leads people to be wary and distrustful, because there's no personal relationship there. And so, but that single email makes me feel like even though I know I don't, but it makes me feel like we have a personal relationship. And I've remembered it. That was like 2, 3 years ago, you know?
That's funny. That's some pretty cool shit. Someone who's doing a really good job of this is Gary Vee. He's really crushing it
Yes.
because he'll respond to people through video. And I've actually tried doing this, but I think you can only do it maybe in Instagram or Twitter or whatever. I'm usually on Facebook, so I gotta, I guess, do other shit. But he'll respond if you share some of his stuff. He'll like usually respond to you and say thanks or something. It's pretty cool. And so I've been doing that with all my Facebook stuff. If someone shares my stuff, I say, hey, thanks so much, man, or whatever. But the
Yep.
next step would be doing a quick video and just saying, hey, thanks so much. I really liked your comment. Thanks for sharing. Ciao. That would be fucking huge.
Oh
It
yeah, man.
really personal connection. A lot of people are missing that.
It's funny you mentioned Gary Vee because I've been reading his books and following him for a long time. And he actually followed me on Twitter because one day I just happened to be on Twitter, and he said, he sent a tweet out that said, "Who should I follow?" And I can't remember exactly what I said, but I put, "You should follow me because
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z." And boom, he pressed
Yeah.
follow.
That's pretty cool.
Because that's like, and that that just makes me, even if he doesn't ever read any of the tweets, and I don't really tweet that much, that single action makes him, raises him up to in my mind even as like somebody who's like with it and like someone you can trust and all those kind of like and trust people, because he's just like, okay, cool, I'm convinced. You sound like follow. So that stuff like that is goes a long way. I used to try to convince past employers. For instance, we were working at the nightclub. When I was a bouncer at a nightclub, I was the head bouncer at a nightclub for 5 years, almost 5 years. I used to try to convince the management, you have to do little things for the staff. In my case, I was managing the bouncing staff, but you have to do little things for them because a lot of these people are giving up their weekends. They're not making a whole lot of money, but if you give them something in, pizza, some throw them a couple parties here and there, it goes so far. You can't do it like on a regular basis, and then it loses its effect almost. But you have to do these like little things, which don't have to be that expensive or little, but people remember them, and that increases the loyalty. Like because he followed me on Twitter, I'm probably a lot more likely now, and I bought his jab, right hook probably right after that, because Gary Vee did something like that, and there's a guy who doesn't have to do probably a whole lot of anything if he doesn't want to. So
yeah, that's true. It's there's a fine balance between trying to position yourself as this untouchable person, because I think there's kind of like two opposing sides where one is saying, hey, let's be as reachable, and people can contact us and touch us and grab us, and then there's another group that says, well, if you want to position yourself really as an expert, then you have to make it hard for them to reach you. They can't call you, they can't talk to you. So I think kind of there should be a balance, because there's definitely a benefit to both, but there's a huge, huge opportunity when you're following up with people and doing it through video, or doing quick thank you messages and cool personalized things, because social media is just that. I mean, it's social. That's what it's used for. So if we start using social media to actually communicate and be social, I think that's a great way of balancing. Maybe you're not very reachable on the phone, but you can be reached online, and you're right there. You'll actually be their friend, talk to them, shoot a quick video or whatever. But if you want to call them, maybe it's like $1,000 or something. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah, you can't give an infinite amount of time to everybody, but it's those little things that have the little touches, all in the details. The little touches are so important. And you can't stress that enough as a business person. Do send a little message. And you mentioned this, I think, in a previous episode, getting on the phone with some of the customers who've already bought. And people like that will be I've done that before. People will be so shocked that you're calling them up and want their actual opinion, because it happens so infrequently that they're like, you go straight to the like a rocket ship, straight to number one on whatever, they're buying stuff from.
That's true. I actually bought a health supplement one time. It was I think it's Cellucor or Cellular. I forget their actual brand. I don't know. It was years ago. But I remember buying it one or two times at a Smoothie King. I don't know if you guys have those there. It's
Oh yeah.
basically, yeah, okay. So it's just a smoothie place. And they had them on the side. I bought it, and I had to put my name down, I guess, that I purchased it. And like I think 2 or 3 months later, I got a random call on my cell phone, and it was the owners. It's like two owners, and they're like, "Hey, we got you on speakerphone, man. We just kind of wanted to see how you've been liking the whatever it was. I can't remember, and just what your feedback was. We really we want to know it." And I was blown away. I mean, these guys sound just like normal human beings, and I loved it. I remember buying a couple more of their little bottles and stuff, and never using it, just because I just like I felt bad. I'm like, these guys are cool, dude. I've never been called like this.
You're still talking about it now, right?
Exactly. And this was probably 10 plus years ago, which is what's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly true. Now it's happened to me, like we mentioned before. Now, Carlos, you've divested yourself of some of the things you were doing in the past, and went your own way, especially in the copywriting world. Talk a bit about that. How did you decide to, like, okay, today's the day I become a copywriter?
Well, it was, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I kind of always been an entrepreneur. I know that's kind of a cop out, I think. I started selling raffle tickets for a fake gift like when I around my block when I was, I
Okay.
think, like 6 years old or something. And then I sold them for $1 each, and I just went around the block and started selling them. And then my mom found out, and she was like, "Well, you've got to actually have a winner." I'm like, "No, I already got paid." You know.
You don't get it. I have the money in my pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's like, "No, you have to give them something." So I just told them that they won a flower or something, and I mean, people were giving me money just because I was a cute little kid or some shit, you know. So that was kind of my first taste of it, and I was like, "Well, this is kind of cool. This is fast." And then, I've had obviously jobs, but I think I had a pizza job, which was stupid. I mean, I made subs, a bookstore job, and a sales manager job. So these are like my progressions, right? And then I think that was about it. And like I was a sales manager when I was, I think, 22 years old or something. It was at my old university, and I think right when I graduated, because I was so against university, but I was one of these kids that did it because their parents like would be so let down if they didn't go to university, and I just felt bad. And then I look at it after, I'm like, God, I was so stupid. Like I tell kids, and I'm like, don't make the same fucking mistake I did. If you're in business, just fucking do it. Don't waste your time, you know? Um, it's just a cop out excuse that you're gonna do it because your parents, don't want to. It's just do it. But but I think right when I graduated, I was like, well, fuck this. I'm not gonna ever work for anybody else. Like this isn't gonna happen. Like I already knew from before I even went to college that I wasn't gonna work for anybody. Like I already knew I was an entrepreneur. I didn't know what I was gonna sell. I didn't care, but it was not. I made an oath to myself that I'd rather die than go and work somewhere else. I was like, there's no fucking way I'm ever doing that. Like, I'll never do it because I saw my parents do it. I saw my brothers do it. And I just saw how they lived. It was a horrible life, I think. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. It's exhausting. It's fucking terrible. So, yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I knew from a very early age, and I just kind of always geared in that direction. Is why I was bad in school. I was very anti everything, and so I don't know. For me, it was a very easy to take the plunge. I just did it, and I didn't care where I lived. I didn't care if it was in the ghetto or where the fuck it was, where I was going to start out. I didn't care. I just like, all right, what's the only way to do it? So fuck it.
No,
So you just do it.
I think you're right, and this is a common thread that I've seen from other entrepreneurs I've met in various fields. Not everybody, but more than enough to where I'm like, okay, this is a pretty significant thing, and these people just don't care. They're just like, I'm going to do this, and be damned with everything else. Like, screw it. I don't care if I have to live if I'm homeless for 2 months, but I'm going to make it. It's like a perseverance. I don't think I was quite like that, but I was like, but I'm a little bit on the lazier side. So I was kind of like, I don't have to want to get up at 8. There's other motivating factors. Like I don't have to
No,
get
of
up at
course,
8 in
yeah.
the morning. You know what I mean? I don't have to get up at 8 in the morning. I'd rather do it at noon. I started at noon or something. So I think for people out there who are, still in their 9 to 5 thing, I really think the excuses thing is one of the biggest factors. I don't think it has to do with like your knowledge. I don't think it has to do with the amount of money you have, unless people always say, well, as soon as I save up X number of dollars, yeah, it's smart to not go broke on the first day, but give yourself a bit of a cushion. But I have a friend who's a street performer who supports 6 kids and a wife, and 3 of his kids are, believe, are in college now. He made it work. He's not rich, he's not famous, but he is one of the most diligent, hardest working people I have ever come across. And he just has a passion. He knows he has to do it to make it work, but he loves it at the same time. I mean, you're around him, it's infectious, his work ethic and stuff like that. And he just goes out every day and crushes, and doesn't think twice about it. And he's always working. I mean, he's just but he's doing what he loves, So it's, people have to decide. Are you gonna, I think this is another famous sort of quote I've heard over the years of, you should, get busy. The Shawshank Redemption ones, get busy living or get busy dying. There's that one. But also, you're either building your own dreams or you're building someone else's.
Yeah.
Those are the
You
ones
know,
I keep hearing.
yeah, and it's just, I think it's just kind of getting started. So many people get worried that they're going to be committed to whatever they make their entrepreneurial jump in for like the next 40 years. It's not a job, right? So it's depending on what, I mean, now with the internet, you can hop in and out of it. I've hopped into like 30 different industries in like 2 years, it's really quick. So you can, I mean, it's just fucking a quick decision. And if you fuck up in one industry or in one little niche market or whatever it is, and that's fine. There's a million others. You just stop marketing to them and go into something else. It's not a big commitment like I think people think it is. It is now. Let me I guess go against myself. It is a big commitment because now you're going to make money for yourself. You're going to put hopefully a lot of good value out in the world. But don't tie yourself down to this with so much pressure to be like, fuck, if this particular business doesn't work, I'm a total failure and it sucks. Well, no, you're not, you dumbass. It's not true. It's just
Yeah.
that particular shit you fucked up on, and now you learn from those fuck ups and find something else to do, but you just keep on doing it. You're still an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? The offers might change throughout the year, but you're still an entrepreneur. You still got to grind and you still just got to go, go, go. So don't let fear of what you're going to jump into hold you back. I mean, if you really don't know what the fuck to do, but you want to be an entrepreneur, I'm not a big MLM person, but I would suggest go into an MLM because at least you'll get started.
Right.
And it's really a easy, low commitment. So just fucking do it.
Just start. That's the best advice I ever got, was when he said burn the boats and stuff. It's like, just start. You have to start somewhere. Why not be today? Everyone keeps putting off everything. Just get it. Sell something. Have a garage sale, for crying out loud. I don't care. But do something instead of worrying about it, planning for it, analyzing it, reading more courses and stuff. There's no, you can go back and do that on route to the, jump off the, jump off the ledge and build your parachute on the way down.
Yeah, that's funny you brought garage sales. You can make money. I once sold. It's fun. It's good. It's good. It was a good investment. I once sold a car to a blind man at a garage sale, and it just worked out. You know what I'm saying? I was honest. I said it doesn't start. You're gonna need someone to tow it,
Right.
and it happened. So I was like, that works. So then I was like, yeah, you can make a decent amount of cash. Sold the car to a blind man.
That sounds like a from the Dumb and Dumber, selling the dead canary to the blind kid or something.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny.
All right. One takeaway. What's the number one takeaway from this episode?
Well, I think we've been talking about it the whole time. Just get started. Don't worry about what you're going to get started with if you don't know, but just get started and find low entry ways to get started, whether that's flipping shit on eBay, going garage sailing, buying shit, putting it on eBay, or going to DHK, putting it on eBay, or fucking doing an MLM just to get your feet wet. And who knows? I actually know people who've made fucking millions of dollars in MLMs. I just haven't been one of them. So, there's people who can do it. So just get started and don't take every hit because you're going to get punched in the face. It's Frank Kern put it in a really cool way. You can't be a boxer and be like, when you get punched in the face, well, what the fuck were you doing? You can't, of course you're going to get hit in the face. You just got to keep on rolling with it. So just get started, keep cranking it out. And I mean, that's what I'm thinking. What do you think?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Just jump head first into it. A lot of people, are like waiting for this, waiting. Somebody told me once, someday is not a day of the week.
Yes.
Which I thought was very apt, so just today, why not today? You could find something in the classifieds that somebody's selling or giving away even, and turn around and sell it. There's a great, I think we mentioned it in a previous episode, there's a great thread on Reddit about selling firewood, organic firewood versus normal firewood and all that stuff. Punch in organic firewood into Reddit and read that thread, and you'll probably come up with at least 5 ideas on how you could find some free stuff around your city to sell today. Get free kittens given away. You could probably turn around and sell them if you were such an entrepreneur, So I think that's it, man. You got to find something to do. Whoever's out there who already knows what there is to do, why the hell are you waiting?
Exactly. Get shit started. Takeover Tuesday, bitches. Get shit started.
So I think that's the number one takeaway from this episode. Now next week, I lied last episode. For those who listened, by saying we'd have Everett Farnell on today, and that, of course, is not the case. He was going to be on the 30th, so that's my screw up. But he will be on the 30th, which is next Monday. So we record these on Monday. But so Takeover Tuesdays, episode 5, we'll have copywriter extraordinaire Everett Farnell join us.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't exactly decided exactly what we're going to talk about. Obviously, some copy topics for those copywriters or beginning copywriters out there who are looking to take, see how it's done for real, by somebody who's really killing it, copywriting. Yeah, I think
he's been making a lot of noise. I've seen a lot of his stuff being posted up. It's really cool. I'm excited to have him on the show, man.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff I think we probably both want to ask him and stuff like that. And so yeah, Takeover Tuesday. Go out there and get something done today.
All right, man. All right, guys. So, hey, kick some ass today. Share this podcast, like, whatever it is. And ciao, guys. Keep kicking ass.
Yeah, direct all questions to the facebook.com/Takeover Tuesday podcast. I'd also like to thank Ben Sound at bensound.com for the intro and outro music. Take care.